Hey there, this is Adam from Adamwork and also Muchcattle. And today I want to talk about the new MacBook Pro, the one with the M1 Max chip. I got mine on Tuesday and I've been using it for the past couple of days and I am really enjoying it. I got the 10-core CPU, 32-core GPU, and then I actually updated the memory, the RAM, to 64 gigs, and I got a 2 terabyte storage. So yeah, not a cheap machine. Obviously, if you remember my very first video, my only other video, was on the M1 Air, and one of the things I loved about it so much was how cheap it was and how amazing it ran ArchiCAD, considering how cheap it was. Now this new computer runs ArchiCAD better. There's not a whole lot to talk about for ArchiCAD because it runs it so well. I still want to make another video where I talk about my Mac workflow and the things I do beyond ArchiCAD on my Mac. But this particular video, I want to talk about Revit, and I want to talk about Windows on an M1, which up until a couple months ago wasn't really possible. So we've had some developments in the past couple months thanks to Parallels. Parallels 17 was released, and it allows you to run Windows 11 on your Mac. So as you can see, I have my Mac open, but I have Windows open, and it looks good, works good. It's pretty. As you can see, it's pretty fluid. It's quick, at least doing basic things like this. So one of the great things about Parallels too is that you actually all your stuff, all your files are automatically just on Parallels. You don't have to download Dropbox or something like that to sync back and forth. If it's on your Mac, it's on your Parallels. So I enjoy that. I like that about it. I haven't ever really used Parallels too much. I always was a boot camp person. So Parallels is something newer for me. I always understood the utility about it, but I wanted that power of just giving everything to my Mac and to my Windows side on my Mac and not having to split the resources. So that is something that I have to do right now on Parallels. I'm splitting the resources. I have given 8 cores to Windows. I've given 42 gigs to Windows. So as you can see, that's well over half of what's on the Mac itself. Most of my resources right now are running Windows, but it's pretty amazing. So one thing to know is that this Windows version I'm running is the ARM version of Windows. I had to sign up for the Insider program to get it. And if you go through Parallels, they make it very easy on how to do all this. There's a couple links you click. You can do it all within 5-10 minutes, be up and running. But I am running a pre-release of the OS. This isn't the final version. It's assumed that Microsoft, they'll carry through and they'll finish the ARM version and release it eventually, and hopefully developers will build on it. But for now, it's not done yet. And what's happening is, What's happening is that Parallels is emulating Windows, and then Windows is emulating its old school apps. So you have 2 levels of emulation happening here, which one would expect because of all that translation going on. Things will be a little slower than if it was just running on a desktop or even boot camp for that matter. So everything's more complicated than ever. Because of that, there's a couple hiccups. First off, I want to talk about Inkscape and Lumion because there's not much to talk about them because they won't install. They just won't. You get this error when you go to install Inkscape, and you get a similar one when you go to install Lumion. I haven't been able to find any workarounds for that. I didn't expect great performance from them anyways, even if I got them to work, because the Mac doesn't have a real GPU. It doesn't have NVIDIA for sure, but it doesn't even have AMD, and those programs are really built to utilize those graphics cards. So I didn't expect a whole lot, but I just wanted to see what they could do, if it was serviceable, if it even ran at all, and it does not. Now, one thing I just want to say quickly is that Inkscape is releasing a Mac version before the middle of 2022. Now, one would assume they're building it for the M1 ARM platform. So hopefully that means that, well, obviously it'll be great for me as a Mac user, but that might mean that better support is coming for Windows if you want to use this workflow I'm about to show you. So it's kind of all a fluid situation. You'll hear me say that again in this little video, but everything is fluid right now. Everything can change. Microsoft could come up with some major updates that makes everything better. Apple could work with Microsoft to make it even better. Parallels could come up with a breakthrough. Or all of this could burn to the ground because it all gets abandoned and Microsoft says you can't do this. Parallels, no, that's not fair. Or Apple says we're not working with you, Microsoft. We don't want Windows on our machines. Who knows? It's all very up in the air on how this pans out. But for right now, in the present, this is how it works. So let's jump in. So let's open Revit. Got 2022 on here. It's just a trial. I don't use Revit anymore. I dabble in it whenever I just want to see what they've done that's new. I still appreciate Revit. I still like it. There are days that I wish I used it still, but there's also days that I'm glad I don't. But anyways, let's see. Revit is loading, and it seems to be, I don't really have anything to compare it to, but so far it's nothing too slow. Seems to be moving. So here we are. I don't have any projects really that are sizable. So we're going to go with the sample project. This is the most complete project to explore. Obviously, if you work on projects that are much larger or much more complicated or even way simpler, you can kind of adjust your expectations based on the sample project. Maybe give it a run on your own computer and see if it's similar. So yeah, we're in the sample project. We're at the title block. And let's just click on the title block and let's edit this family. Let's see what it's like. So that seemed pretty quick. One thing I'm noticing as I'm moving my mouse around is that things highlight pretty quick. There's not really any lag. Ooh, zooming in though. It's a little jumpy. It's not super smooth. It's not as smooth for sure as ArchiCAD is. I don't remember if this is a Revit thing or not. Maybe it's always like this, but it feels a little jumpy. But at the same time, like selecting text like this seems pretty quick to respond. There's nothing about it that screams laggy or delayed. So just as I'm clicking on stuff, and let's move this. Let's just move this over here. Yeah, I mean, as I'm incrementally moving it, it's responding pretty well. Let's pull this off. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This all seems pretty good. There's nothing about this that seems slow. Nothing that tells me I'm not running on a real version of Windows on a MacBook Pro. If I didn't know that, I don't think I'd have any reason to think that. So let's see. Yeah, zooming just feels a little. Let's see. Let's change the quickness of my scroll wheel on my mouse. Yeah, so I made it slower to move. Like I'm moving my mouse all over my mouse pad, and you can see the cursor's not really moving anywhere. So that's not really this is more comfortable. So yeah, like this is doable, but it's just not what I'm used to maybe. So yeah, let's go to 3D. Let's see what it's like in 3D. Again, kind of a little jarring as you scroll in, but oh well. We'll see what's it like to orbit. Can I orbit? Why is it not orbiting? Okay. You got to make sure you get the order of your clicks right. It seems a little more sensitive than I remember. But orbiting seems pretty decent. There's nothing about it that's really too jarring. Just kind of feels like I maybe would expect. Let's do some things. Let's edit some stuff. Let's break it. Let's edit the path of this railing. Move this in. Let's accept it. It's pretty quick. Let's delete this window. Disappeared quickly. So I'm kind of doing stuff that I tend to notice I tend to notice when this stuff is slower than it should be. I have owned i5 laptops in the past, and they're always, to me, noticeably slower than i7 laptops. So I'm kind of trying to do stuff that I would notice there. And honestly, it kind of feels closer to an i5 than an i7, or maybe a laptop that's on battery power, not plugged in, because they don't have quite the performance. So it kind of feels like that if I had to compare it to something, which, a lot of people work from those kinds of devices all day anyway. So depending on what you're used to, what I'm experiencing may be what you're, nothing out of the ordinary. Let's see. Let's do something. Let's adjust the height of this wall. I'm used to ArchiCAD where it will automatically snap if you were to bring that wall up. One thing to note is that I'm using a wired mouse. I'm plugged straight in. When I was playing around with this earlier, I was having issues with my wireless mouse where things were just they felt a little laggy, and I wasn't sure if it was the mouse or not. So I went with the wired one for this review. And honestly, it feels a little bit better. I'm not going to say it's night and day difference, but I'd probably err on using the wired mouse if you're going to do this. Just reduces one level of input issues, I guess. Parallels is doing enough to make all this possible. The messing around with Bluetooth and such, just, I don't know. Bluetooth's already kind of weird for me. So let's go to a plan view. And let's zoom in. Let's see. Let's make this. This isn't the kitchen anymore. Let's make it this is the bathroom. Ha ha ha. It's hilarious. It's pretty quick to change though. I don't know what this is. Never seen this before. It must be a 2022 thing. Don't care. Let's see. Let's move this grid over. Let's move it all the way over here. It seems pretty smooth. Let's break this wall up. Let's make it that angle. Delete the instances. Okay, so this is all doable. As you can see, as I'm kind of like moving around, it's like it's a little spazzy on the graphics. They kind of disappear and simplify and such. I would assume that's because it's allocating resources to make sure that it works. Like maybe it's feeling a little overwhelmed, so it's doing this to kind of keep things from breaking down on me. I don't know, but it's feeling like it's working right now. Let's go to this view. It's pretty cool. Zoom in here. Let's click on stuff. Let's make that taller. So yeah, honestly, all of this feels usable to me. Nothing about what I'm doing right now feels unusable. That said, not having any way to render, even, light studies, Lumion kind of junk, is a little bit of a game breaker for me. Like, I don't think I could make this work. At least not right now. It's something I'd be wanting to monitor and see what happens later on. See if they add the ability to do that. Maybe the app makers update their stuff to work better, or Microsoft or Apple make it to where the stuff just starts to work instead. So I would probably be waiting on that instead of biting the bullet on such an expensive machine and hoping that it works one day. That said, if I needed a machine to run Revit and I wanted it to be a MacBook, it had to be a Mac, because for whatever reason, I think I could work in this. I just don't think I would want to all the time. I think this feels more secondary machine, like you have to do a little bit of work for an hour while you're watching TV, or you're going to go to a coffee shop and you got to dimension some drawings and send them out. Lighter things like that, it feels like you wouldn't get frustrated with. But even just like trying to orbit like, it just, I don't know, something about it just doesn't feel quite as fluid. And maybe it's just me not being in Revit for a while, but like the order, there's a, like, right, here we go. I don't know, the zooming, it's just, there's a little jarring, a little bit just choppy. Again, definitely workable, but I think when you're spending thousands of dollars on a computer, you want everything to be just super smooth. Because this kind of stuff adds up as you work on a project for hours a day, for weeks on end. These little, I mean, they get to me, these little frustrations. So I don't know. I just think given the price of the Pro, if I had to have a Mac, I think I would go with a cheaper one, to where I could do Revit like this in certain situations, but I would leave enough money available in my budget to where I could buy any laptop with an i7 that will just fly with Revit, and do some light rendering. Just kind of have both worlds, because this is not bad. It's not bad. It's just the cost is what makes it hard for me to swallow. Because it just can't do everything. And for that cost, you want something that can do everything. For me, it can do everything. I live in the Mac world. But if you are using Windows and you're trying to make this your everything machine, I think you technically could, but it'll just depend on your tolerance for certain things. And also, I mean, maybe your patience, because I personally don't think this is the best it's ever going to be. I think we can see, we have a lot of reason to be hopeful that it's only going to get better, and that there are brighter days ahead. But yeah, again, it works really well. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty awesome. I don't think I would want it to be my primary machine, just with the uncertainties of things. I haven't seen it crash on me, even when I was playing with it earlier, and nothing has really ever felt like it's unstable or anything. So that's not an issue. It's just the little slight lags. And maybe that's, it's, as somebody who's used a Mac with the M1 chip in it for most of this year, I've gotten used to not having any lag, whether it's opening the lid and things just instantly coming on, whether it's changing the screen resolution and nothing flashing black, it just immediately changes. It feels like a phone or an iPad with how everything is just immediate. I'm used to that, and I'm reintroduced to it here. And so maybe my tolerance has just changed a little bit. But yeah, I think it's really cool that this is a feature, that it's an option now. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think there are very, very bright days ahead, and I hope that I have reason to come back and test it again. Hopefully we can see some more updates, maybe an official boot camp. Maybe we see some rendering plugins start to work, and I can run some tests. And I'll try to answer any questions. If you have any questions, comment, like the video if you want, subscribe if you want, because I do intend to follow up with new videos as new developments happen, whether it's new software to test out, new plugins, updates to Parallels, whatever. Probably will end up buying Parallels just to have it ready to test beyond this trial I'm in. And yeah, we'll just. I'm interested in this stuff. We're in an exciting time in terms of computers and development, with the way that chips are now. They're really the speed, the increases that this MacBook Pro has over just the Air, which the speed increases it had over its predecessors, are amazing. You don't see these very often. So it's really exciting right now. I wouldn't put any limits on anything of what we can expect to see at the moment, because every time I've felt like, it won't be that much better, I've been pretty surprised lately. Like even, my 3090 RTX graphics card in my desktop is amazing. It's so much faster than my previous card, which was a 2080. So, Yeah, right now we're seeing exciting gains and stuff, and providing you can actually get the hardware, it's really fun. So I'll be following this stuff. It's kind of a hobby. It's kind of an interest. So if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, any things you would like to know about or see, hit me up. And yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.